Hey y'all, welcome to Camirra's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make some soft, buttery buttermilk biscuits. Now these biscuits are kind of my everyday, no fuss, 3-ingredient biscuits, okay? Don't forget to check out my ebook in the description box, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this recipe. Now, one of the keys to biscuits is using the right flour. I like to use Southern Biscuit because that's the most readily available flour near me. It has a really soft crumb. It already has the baking powder and salt and everything in it in the right proportion. You could also use White Lily, but this is the most available where I am. So I am going to use a scale to measure out 2 cups of this flour. Now, a lot of people add too much flour to their baking recipes, so their stuff ends up dry. 2 cups of self-rising flour is 250 grams. Now, if you don't have a scale, then you're going to need to sift your flour, and then you're going to need to spoon it into your measuring cup and then level it off with the back of a spoon. And that's 1 cup. And you need to do that twice. I think using the scale is actually quicker. Now, since I'm going to use my counter to roll out my biscuits, I want to go ahead and clean my counter. I have a mixture of water and a little bit of that sow suds. Remember, I've been showing you guys that. I'll link that in the description. I use that as an all-purpose cleaner, and then I take a cloth with just water and I take a zigzag motion down my counter so I don't miss anything and that there's no soap residue that can get inside of my biscuits. You want to do this before you start blending, because once you start blending, baby, look, you don't need to be wasting no time. So I'm going to add my flour to a food processor. To me, this is the quickest and easiest thing to do. I'm going to add a teaspoon of sugar, and then I'm just going to pulse this a little bit. So, let everything fluff up, what I'm saying? Get it light and fluffy, okay? Now, of course, you don't need a food processor to make biscuits, but that's the point of modern day appliances. They make your life easy, okay? And it makes it so that you don't have to handle the dough as much. Now, I've had 1 stick of unsalted butter cut up into 1/2-inch cubes, and I've put it in my freezer. I left the wax paper at the bottom so that I could easily get out the butter, and I'm just pulsing this into the flour very gently. And then I'll let it go for about 3 seconds, and then I'll open it and see where I'm at. I am looking for my flour and butter to sort of be lightly cut into each other. You should see pellets of butter. Okay, this butter was frozen. So you'll see about pea-sized or like half pea-sized pellets of butter. And that's okay. That's what you want, because it's going to further blend a little bit with this buttermilk. I'm putting in 3/4 a cup of cold buttermilk, and then I'm going to blend this together. I'm going to pulse it. And then I'm just going to blend it together for about 3 to 4 seconds. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off. Now you will see that the dough is sticky. Okay, it won't be fully together, and that is actually okay. You don't need it to be fully lumped together, because when you put it on the counter, that is what's going to happen. You should see that the dough has some individual butter chunks inside of it. That is what you want. I'm now going to take out my dough, and I'm going to put out some flour onto the counter, and I'm going to take the dough out and I'm going to gently form it into like a circle, like a ball. At this point, you want to handle the dough as little as possible, okay? You ain't needing and doing all this extra stuff to biscuits, okay? There's no yeast in this. You don't want a bunch of excess gluten to form. That is how a lot of people get tough biscuits. I'm going to put some flour on the outside of my hands, and I'm going to very softly and quickly press this into sort of a somewhat flat rectangle-ish shape. I'm going to make sure there's flour on the top. That will help it form like a little bit of a layer in the biscuit. And then I'm going to gently fold it over, and I'm going to press it down again. I'm going to go in with a little more flour. Doesn't have to be a ton of excess, but you do want a little on the top. Gently press it down, and then I'll fold it over again. I'll repeat this 3 times. Now, if you have a different method of making biscuits or just a way that you do it, let me know in the comments. I would not say that I'm a biscuit master by any means. I know I'm from the South, y'all. I know I'm a Southern belle, but the truth is that, it took me a while to get my biscuits to come out to where I thought they tasted good, and I'm always looking for more tips on how to get better and better biscuits. Now, I will say one thing I I don't tend to do is I don't tend to cut out the circular biscuits. Unless I'm trying to impress somebody, which I'm barely trying to impress somebody. Y'all, I will just use a knife to cut out the squares because it's easier, and I've never had anybody complain. Now I'm going to flour my rolling pin, and then I'm going to very quickly and gently roll this into about 1 inch thickness, the dough about 1 inch thickness. Then you're going to see me go in and just kind of shape up the edges. Since I'm not going to cut out circles, I do want the edges to look at least somewhat presentable. One reason why I do like cutting out these squares is because you don't have to go in and re-roll, because those next biscuits that you re-roll will always be a lot flatter and sometimes a little bit denser. Now there is a trick to getting the squares. You're going to need a sharp knife, and you're going to cover the edge of it with flour. You are just going to go down, and you are just going to press down, and you are going to come up. You are not going to drag your knife across the dough. That is going to prevent your biscuits from rising. At the end, I'm going to try to, as little as possible, overlap. Since my knife isn't long enough, there's always a little part at the end. I'm just going to try to line it up, press down, and come up. I'm not going to try to overlap with the line I've already done because I want the biscuits to rise really well. Now you're going to see that I have 9 easy biscuits. On my baking sheet, I've lined this with parchment paper. I'm going to try to touch the biscuits together. This will help keep the biscuits soft. It will also help them get a little bit of a rise. I've had my oven preheating at 450 degrees. Cooking biscuits is a high heat affair, baby. Okay, this ain't no low heat affair. Okay, I'm going to cook these biscuits for 10 to 12 minutes until the tops are nice and golden. I actually like mine to be a little bit brown. If you like yours to be a little bit lighter, then you just do yours closer to the 10-minute side. Now, of course, biscuits are not biscuits without some delicious butter on top. I like to take some nice melted butter, just about a tablespoon, and I just go ahead and brush it on right when I take these biscuits out of the oven. Now, let me know in the comments what you would serve these biscuits with. These are from start to finish. You're going to have biscuits in about 30 minutes. That includes cleanup, honey. So this is really a no fuss, easy peasy recipe. Okay, I think these are perfect for when you want a quick little morning biscuit. You can cut them open, you put in some country ham, get a little apple jelly. Baby, you eating. Baby, you eating. Okay, don't let there be a little cup of coffee, a little tea on the side. Now go ahead and look at that. Look at that soft biscuit. Baby, don't forget that I love you and Jesus loves you, and I know I'm going to see you next time in Camirra's Kitchen. God bless.